Hey everybody, it's Henry with the Film Buds podcast. Please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, please let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks. 83. Let's get to Magic Mike's Last Dance. This one it was on Netflix recently. I think it may have been taken off, so you might just have to purchase it or rent it digitally. It's directed by Steven Soderbergh, written once again by Reed Carolin, who wrote the first two Magic Mikes. It stars Channing Tatum, Salma Hayek, Ayub Khan Din, not really a big cast, Daniel Yaka, Aaron Klein, and a few others. And the synopsis is Mike takes to the stage again following a business deal that went bust, leaving him broke and taking bartender gigs in Florida. Mike heads to London with a wealthy socialite who lures him with an offer he can't refuse. So we did review, former host of the show, Paul and I did review the first two Magic Mikes together back in, I think, 2021 sometime, so you can check those out. I got around to seeing the first one probably mid-2010s, late 2010s. I had known Steven Soderbergh up to that time. I loved Channing Tatum, but I was like, all right, this is just not a movie for me, not a big deal. It's sort of a girls' night out film. That's what I was told, and I was like, all right, well, whatever. It's about male strippers, not really my thing. So I'll just skip that one and didn't think much of it for a while. But then I heard some other film reviewers talking about it just as like, hey, I went to see this. It was great. And I was like, huh, interesting. And they're talking a lot more than just it being some hot bods dancing around. It's like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Considering I like everyone involved, how bad can it be? And I actually thought the first one was awesome. I love the first Magic Mike. I think that it does, and maybe that's why some people don't like it, is that it really did become more of a satire for the male stripping world, and it had a lot more character work going on than just being a dance movie for people to go enjoy and look at Channing Tatum shirtless, So I think that's why maybe some people like the second one more than the first. It just depends on the audience that's there, which to each their own, doesn't matter. But I found it really, really refreshing where the dance sequences are so funny. They're well choreographed, but they're really intentionally funny. It looks good. It's got interesting character work. As I said, like it's a very good dramedy, whatever you want to call it, sort of film. And Steven Soderbergh, having directed it, makes it even better. And so I'm a big fan of the first one. I've seen it a couple of times and I really, really like it. It goes up basically every time I watch it. And I saw the second one, I think maybe a year after it came out. Didn't know what to expect considering it was not done by Soderbergh. And I was like, all right, this is probably going to be lame. Same sort of story with the first one. And I actually like the second one all right. I don't think it's as good as the first. It's not an amazing movie, but it's still a really entertaining sort of dance film and has a lot of good elements despite being maybe a little bit more shallow than the first. And what I think, sorry, long story short here, I think what I really appreciate about this now trilogy, which is awesome, is that it is taking a fairly low budget, simple concept and creating story after story that does not just repeat the same thing from the first film. It's not really a box office buster or anything like that. They're all successful, but it's not like a $200 million movie, and they're able to take new elements, new ideas, and inject them into each one. They're able to take a good cast, a good director, a good writer, and make kind of a adult, fairly grounded trilogy and series that you would not expect at all to be concerning male strippers. Like you would think it's the opposite. And so that's what I really appreciate about this series. And so I was looking forward to this one. I'd heard sort of so things about it, but I still really wanted to see it for a variety of reasons. And I think I did like it overall. It is probably my least favorite. I think they progressively have gone down in star rating with each installment, but it really takes a lot of things and spins them on its head. This one, I think more so than any of them, really look at the craft of artists. And like, for example, in this, they're putting on this show, they're taking a traditional like Victorian story and injecting it with male strippers, which I don't think that's a spoiler. And it really does very seriously get into someone trying to figure out what's my vision? How am I going to put this out to the public? What are people's response going to be? How do I go about choreographing this scene? Who do we get? What works? What doesn't? What's dated? It is not too long. It's, I think, about 2 hours, 145, something like that. It glides along fairly well. Like, it's not really, maybe for better and for worse, it's not super emotional. It's not super funny. It's in the middle. And it's surely no big news at this point. But what really makes the series work is Channing Tatum. Because, like many, I thought he was just a pretty face when he started out being in, G.I. Joe and things like that. It's like, all right, this guy is not that good. People can enjoy him if they think he's attractive, like whatever. But he really has grown so much as an actor. And what makes this series work is he's not only a good actor, like he has good emotional range, and he also has a movie star sort of quality to him that gives him a good presence. He also can really freaking dance. Like, he is a fantastic dancer. And there aren't many big stars out there nowadays that can do, maybe none, who can do what he does in the way that he does. And so he has so many elements that are very unique. And he dances the hell out of all three of these movies very seriously and confidently and expertly. So he's amazing in it. Salma Hayek, I like her. Like, I don't seek her movies out. I typically like her in general, more so in comedic stuff than dramatic stuff. And I think that, talking about things I didn't like, I think her performance is fine, but maybe it's the writing, maybe it's a combination of performance, not sure. But there's just something about her character that I was never really getting into. There's just something about her that's sort of unlikable. At times, I appreciate her wanting to find her power, her freedom, her, self-control, whatever it might be, her creative freedom. But for a lot of the movie, I just was not with her. I was with Mike, Magic Mike, but not so much her. So that brought it down a little bit. I didn't care as much about their relationship. I didn't totally buy it in terms of the emotional weight. So that would be the weakest part of the film for me, but not a huge deal breaker. I still really enjoyed it. I would happily watch a fourth film. I don't think they're going to, but there's a whole heck of a lot worse sequels out there than these movies. So if you're hesitant about any of them, like if you haven't seen any of them, give the first one a shot. I think you might be surprised if you think, oh, that's not for me. That's what I thought. And I was very, very pleasantly surprised. Whereas it's probably now one of my favorite Soderbergh movies, the first one is. Oh, also the dance sequence at the end, amazing. Like the performance, incredible in a variety of ways. The sound, the choreography, the music, it's awesome. And then also the sequence at the very beginning with Channing Tatum and Salma Hayek is pretty wild. So it's worth checking out for that. So that one is a heavy 3 out of 5.